Sun is sin. Sin. Sun. Sun is sin. Sun is also known as Ra. Ra. But when the R is any letter, it could be Ha. You thought I was God. But I am. More like the devil. I'm telling you sin. I'm King Solomon. Cut the baby down the middle. And then whoever says, yeah. I'm like, ha! Gotcha. This light was only to do wrong to yourself and others. To only betray oneself as a murderer, while not caring for what one does not feel or what does not concern thee. Someone else's nerves hurting. Having the blood of someone else's life in your hand. Sin! That's all the sun is saying. Ra turns to Ha! Or it turns to A. A is the first letter of our alphabet. But any letter could have been the first letter. You know what else any represents? You use any when you want to say stuff like, you'd accept any job, you would date any man. In so many ways, any is a standard. Any is it's like saying that there's something that you must do so that everything else is like anything. You must start with the sun in order to destroy the whole human race. If you don't start with the sun, you messed up. You can't start with FDA employment. You can't start with FIFO, expiration dates. You can't start with mopping and cleaning a job. You can't start with your children not doing chores that you're trying to escape eternal punishment for how you scored with a man in bed and then put them on earth because they just say it. ABC 1, 2, 3, you had to say it because it was necessary. What I'm trying to say is that Ra turns into RA, the first letter of the alphabet, or any. You know what else says any? Equity. Any represents a standard that was the only way to do something. For instance, when you breathe through your nose, no one says you're doing anything to breathe. But if you try to breathe through your mouth, or maybe some other way to breathe, though we don't know any other way, because there's no other way, it's hard to say. Any represents law. It's the law of something. So Ra turns into or any, or A, the first letter of the alphabet. Because we all had the sun in common, which means all we had in common on earth is what we need is outside of us. We all have that in common. And if you don't need it, then you'll never reach anyone who did. And because we have the light outside of us, anyone who thinks negatively without starting there is doing any punishment, any judgment, any coming down on someone else. See, I start with the sun. I start with our blood being in the hands of strangers. I start with, you picked up the earth without me telling you what to do, so why when I work a job, you coming down hard on me? Talking about, I need you to. If you don't do this, I'm going to fire you and make you homeless. And I'm like, but when you put the earth together, was I there telling you what to do, how to do it, how to make the building, how to write the paperwork, what uniform to wear, how many people should be on earth at the same time, how many cities, how many nations, how many minds? Was I there when you was using what's outside of you to get what you needed for yourself? But when I come to get what's outside of me for myself, all of a sudden, here you come too. Talking about, no, you can't have this till you pay a price. No, you can't have this kind of life. No, you can't. I'm like, wait a minute. We all have what we need outside of us. We all do that have that problem. So why do you treat me any differently than you treated yourself when you picked up the blood that belongs to all of us? One cob of corn belongs to you. The rest belongs to someone else. You can't eat the whole field. You can't sleep in all the beds. You can't wear all the shirts at the same time. So why are you selling me my blood when it's mine? The same way you picked up the blood because you were skilled and you didn't feel fire, you could only see it. The same way I want the blood free because I feel fire and I see it. You don't feel it, I feel it. You see it, I see it too. You charge me a price to feel fire because it's not burning you. Ra turns into Ha! Gotcha. But it also turns into or any. Any what? Any thought, any mind, any way to start. If you don't start with the knowledge that you need your eye to see the earth in order to do anything, and since our eye is outside of ourselves, and we all have that in common, any other thought is anything. We all have that in common. You need to start with equity. If you ever think a thought past the point that everyone's blood was outside of them, you betrayed Ra. And all he's going to say is, ha, someone's always sin as God. Cut the baby down the middle, and you as the harlot that said, yeah, let's do this shit. But what you didn't know is, I wasn't making sense. And I just wanted to know who's that ignorant. Yes, it is Ra's voice. But since sun is sin, if you don't start there with the first era, if you start with me not tucking my shirt in FDA employment, if you start with me not paying a bill or having stolen, if you start with those things, motherfucker, Ra is laughing the fuck at you. Because that only happened because of a domino effect of my blood being outside of me. And you forcing me to need it unnaturally. How many people have things outside of them that they need? And how many people started a situation in which people would be needing? When you start with the sun, you can't make any mistakes about everything that's going wrong. Sun is sin. Ra is ha. Or a. Any. Ra is saying, you do anything, think any thought. You don't want to start with the sun in the sky. Oh, I know why. Because you're taking advantage of other people's life. You don't want to start with the opportunity to do wrong. Because you're using the opportunity to do wrong. Oh, you're accepting the opportunity to sin. So you don't want to start with that opportunity. You want to punish people for malfunctioning. You don't get me, do you? Well, I guess some things you have to be punished for. Even if you don't realize you did it. It's like poverty. You just don't have enough money. So you're punished, even though you don't realize what you did.